like you mentioned, though, solo trailer. We hadn't heard a thing except for there were problems. Alden Ehrenreich seemed to be Jim Carrey in Han Solo clothing, and Ron Howard took over to try to right the ship. Finally got a trailer dropped during the Super Bowl, which actually I hadn't thought about. I was about the game, but it makes sense that it dropped then, I think. What were your thoughts on the trailer? I was hyped at moments and really not hyped at moments.
Yeah. So yeah, you got like a 45-second like TV spot, then you got a full 90-second teaser the next day on Good Morning America. So there's, fair amount of screens there to look at. But yeah, like you said, the movie comes out Memorial Day. It's 3 months away almost, first time we saw anything. And that's obviously because of the tumult with Ron Howard taking over for Lord and Miller. We talked about the Lord and Miller firing back when it happened, why it made sense, all that. So you can check that breakout on our YouTube, Soundcloud.com/Nostalgia Pod, the drill. But yeah, so now actually seeing the teaser, overall, I gotta say, I'm obviously a big Star Wars fan, so I want to like it, but I'm more positive than I expected. I think it looks stellar. It looks like classic original trilogy vibes, much like Rogue One did. You have Bradford Young doing the cinematography. He did Arrival. Combine that with Ron Howard finishing up a big boy director with Lawrence Kasdan's script, however much of that they actually did. It's really got the A-team there, but it looks fantastic, and I think I'm just excited I am excited to see it because I'm excited to go back to that just pre New Hope Empire world. It just looks so cool, and then once you go from there, I think the costumes look dope. Obviously, the meme of Donald Glover as Lando with that like cape or cowl, awesome whatever jacket. It was dope. Yep, Emilia Clarke has a cool ass get up in the second teaser, and there's that shootout looking scene on a beach, looks fucking dope. The Millennium Falcon looking all clean, I think that's a cool touch. But then what really got me was when I saw Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian, of course. When he smirked in that second teaser, like he just like kind of like smiled, I was like, "Fuck, dude, that's it, that's it." And it's so crazy because Donald Glover is a much more famous person than Alden Ehrenreich, and despite that, he fucking looks like Lando, and of course we believe in him. But of course, we don't need to relitigate, the issues. This movie was questionable from the start. A lot of people had a big problem with it existing. That doesn't change. Some people will just probably not accept the movie because Ehrenreich's not their Han, and nor should he be. I'm inclined to, as long as he doesn't like actively suck, I'll probably enjoy the movie because I like Star Wars. Star Wars movies are fun, and Kathleen Kennedy and them, they know what they're doing. I don't think they're just going to release a dud. But I gotta say, Chris Ryan, he had a really good point. Is Alden Ehrenreich the Markel Fultz of Star Wars?
Oh shit, that's a great analogy, actually. I saw some.
Yeah, one last thing. I saw some fanboy stuff. I'm like, Ehrenreich, terrible choice. Why would they ever do that? And I'm like, that's bullshit. Everyone was like, Ehrenreich, best possible choice. He was awesome in Hail Caesar. Oh, but it worked was simple. You know the drill. That's like. Everyone was like hype, just like Markel Fultz. Consensus #1 pick, great combo, great compliment to Ben Simmons and Embiid, makes total sense, and yet here we are.
Yeah, there's that scene where I think it's Emilia Clarke is talking to Ehrenreich, and he's supposed to act like, I don't know, kind of bewildered, but also like, it's Han Solo. Han Solo's always cool. Like even when he's like not so sure of himself, he always comes across as like cool and suave. Ehrenreich just looks like, I don't know, bashful, I guess. And it just did not seem like good acting. But there's that other moment where, like the screen comes across and you're looking through the grate and he looks up and he looked kind of like Harrison Ford's Han Solo when he had that look. So I was like, he's in a no-win position because even if he does really well, people are going to say he's not Harrison Ford. But if he bombs here, this could be like someone else we're going to be talking about, kind of like Taylor Kitsch, where they're on the come up. It seemed like this person is poised to have a huge career breakout, and then
Right.
a couple this project, but for Kitsch, a couple of projects derail that. Um, yeah, I agree with everything you said. One of the things I thought was cool, and this is just a little piece from the trailer. There's a scene where the Millennium Falcon's being chased by a bunch of TIE fighters, obviously, and it actually turns and hits one and destroys
Ooh,
it that way. And I was like, I'd never thought of like
dope.
that as like a
It's like
Star Wars move,
like
but
a video game.
exactly. It seemed very like creative and new.
Mhm.
So I mean, I think as we're talking though, the thing I'm most excited for is if Glover's awesome as Lando in this movie, like a Lando spinoff from this movie would
Mhm.
be like really cool. And especially if you could get Donald Glover, I mean, I think you take him. But
Right.
this movie is probably not going to be as big as Rogue One or as liked as Rogue One
Mm,
or any of
Probably
the
not. No,
episodic ones.
I think that's pretty safe. It just
Yeah,
my takeaways from the teaser is that it looks like they tried to make everything else as good as it possibly could be.
exactly.
And in hindsight, I don't know why we ever doubted that that would be the case. You know,
Yeah,
look who we're dealing with.
and it makes a lot of sense that they tried to go with a like comedic route almost to it, or like a goofy route, uh, because you wanted to make it a little different because you know you're going up against something that can't compare just in fans' eyes. But
Yeah,
I just hope they can land most of this.
yeah, and
You
that was
look like you
also
got a point.
yeah, no, that reminds me. I mean, when they fired Lord and Miller and they brought in Ron Howard, I mean, a lot of people were like, "Oh, you got really young and exciting, fresh directors for someone who's so boring, so Hollywood." And Ron Howard, but I think, thinking about remember the Last Jedi, a lot of like the angry fanboy critiques were that those very few moments of humor and levity in a long dark movie, they hated. The Luke drinking the milk and the porgs and all that shit. If Lord and Miller did a whole Han movie, I don't know how those same people who already didn't want a Han movie would like all that humor. So I think maybe toning it down a bit, which is what I think is going to be the case, was probably smart.
Definitely.
Just for the success, especially if Aaron Reich is going to be questionable,
Right.
as performance. Because that said performance would be even worse if it was trying to be funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the initial idea of it, but it makes sense to tone it back and just try to make this a C plus B minus if possible. They're not going for an A here at this point.
Right.